start last.
Hello everybody, this is Finn here from the Hopsack. I am here this morning with Carol and Sharon, two twins, obviously, as you can see, who we have had as customers of ours in the shop for the last few years, and we've been really interested in all the kind of chats we've had with Carol and Sharon. Been really interesting because they're training quite hard, I would say. I mean, they're fairly serious in terms of as runners. They would do regular 5Ks and 10Ks, and B, because they're just lovely people, and we invited them on. It's the truth. And so we really every time we kind of get in the shop, we always dive into these conversations about what they're doing now and what's working for them, what's not, and blah blah blah. And we thought that maybe we'd have them on the podcast today to discuss some of the stuff that they have been doing. The first thing I'm going to say is this reason for this massive jaw. If you can see it, maybe you can see it. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. But if you can see it, I keep bees, and I had an angry bee last night. That's all I'll say. But anyway, enough of that. So, guys, you both have been running for like a long time.
Yeah, we started running when we were 43.
Really?
Yeah, that was
only 7 years.
Yeah, I hated running. We used to do a lot of walking, like sort of brisk
Right.
walking.
Yeah.
So when we were 43, somebody had asked us to do the mini marathon for the charity.
Okay.
Autism. A friend of Carol's. So we said, yeah, we do. So we were walking around Morley Park, and I said, Carol, look, we get this done quicker if we actually run.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we started to jog.
We started to jog.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it took, we couldn't run from here to the wall now initially.
Yeah.
So then we slowly just sort of built it up, and it's taken, and then we seriously got into the whole racing and training properly,
Okay.
I say, when we're about 46.
Yeah, about
Right.
4 years ago, we met a lovely
47.
girl called Grania Butler,
Uh-huh.
who sometimes comes down here as well, and
Okay.
she took us under her wing,
Right. Cool.
which is
With
great.
another friend, Martina, and we trained.
There's 4 of us that train together, so
Right.
we do.
Okay, so you're not in a running club or anything.
No,
it's
we're
just,
not in a
yeah.
run. Well, we
No,
call
but
it
we
Grania's
do.
running
We would
club.
do what they do in a running club, because
Yeah.
Grania's she was a competitive runner in her day.
Okay, so the same
Still
types of
is.
trainings.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it would be pretty.
Okay.
know.
And what does that involve? It involves kind of a lot of like zone training,
Yeah,
sprints.
well,
and
I'd say on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Tuesday we do interval training. We might
Okay.
do pace run for 15 minutes, depending
Okay.
what race. We
Yeah.
target whatever race we're doing.
Okay,
So, or
okay.
we might do 2 minutes on, 1 minute off by 6.
Okay.
On then
Yeah.
we might do 400s.
Yeah.
Or 800s,
Okay.
depending on our pyramid. It's
Okay.
depending on what it is that we're distance we're training.
Yeah.
And do you both find that you respond equally to the types of training, or do you both find that you have things that you're like, Jesus, I hated that and it did nothing for me, I just felt wrecked, and things that kind of
I
you
love
like,
the
I feel
2
better
minutes
after that.
on, 1 minute off.
Okay, yeah.
I prefer shorter distances.
You're the shorter, yeah, I knew you were.
I'm a little bit
that.
more immediate, and
Yeah.
I have to
Okay.
get things done quicker.
Uh-huh.
Sharon is probably the best of it.
Carol's
She can
faster.
do
Okay.
well just for shorter
She's faster.
distances, but I
Okay.
don't
But I
have the
think I
endurance
might
think
have a
that she
bit
has.
more. I
Interesting.
don't know. That has to
Interesting.
be tested.
Yeah, we
right?
need to get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
actually, we need to do a bit of an experiment on that. But
Yeah.
I think Sharon is better at the longer distance now than I am.
So I
Okay,
pace
okay.
myself differently.
Yeah, and
You know?
do you like, is it very reflected in terms of your daily lives?
Personality,
Yeah,
yes.
personality wise, definitely.
Yes.
You're a bit more kind of like managed time wise, and you're
Yeah.
like, go at it,
Yeah,
get it
absolutely.
done.
Very
da, da, da.
quick,
Yeah.
Yeah, 100 miles an hour, Finn.
Yeah.
It's not good, but that's
It sounds
what works
very
for me.
familiar, unfortunately. It's
Oh,
what
does it?
and it's who you
Yeah.
are, and there's nothing you can do about that, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just the way I am. But
Yeah.
so I suppose that's the way it is,
Yeah.
really.
Or
Okay.
sort of like, even as if there are things going on, like Cara might put it, not deal with it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I would go through something before it actually happens.
Methodically
In my
plan
head,
for it.
so
da,
then
da, da,
when it
da.
happens,
Okay.
I sort of go through all the grief before
Yeah,
it
yeah,
into
yeah.
something I might be nervous about.
Yeah,
Do you
okay,
know that?
interesting. And does that come to race preparation as well? Does that change your mental race preparation, or do you do a lot of mental race preparation?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, we
we,
would.
we
Yes,
do
okay.
a lot of visualisation.
Okay, cool.
Well, we have started doing a lot of visualisation.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I think it
Forwards,
does
yeah.
actually work.
Yeah.
So what that means for us is, if we knew where the 5K route was,
Mhm.
we would kind of maybe sit down and try and close your eyes and imagine yourself running the route
Yeah.
and where you're going to feel awful. Like say if
Okay.
it's a 5K,
Yeah.
the beginning of it is always awful because
Yeah.
you set off very quickly.
you-
So you're going to feel that breathlessness.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
kind of,
okay.
this sort of
Yeah.
thing. So you
Yeah.
have to feel that
Yeah.
to know that that's okay.
That's okay. You're going to
That
get
you're going
past
to go
that.
through it, but
Yeah.
you'll get over it.
Okay.
But
Wow.
we'd also try and get to see the route, and
Yeah.
we're so
We're
Petty
quite
like
anal
that.
about it.
You
We
know,
like to know
really?
exactly. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, well, I mean, like that's like any good
It's
whatever
prepared.
race car driver,
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
you
right,
guys.
yeah.
And I mean, I presume most professional runners would always do that, would they? They would always kind of go the
They
route.
would,
Yeah.
because we're actually going
Yeah.
for Rio next year. Not,
Yeah,
no,
but
no,
What?
we're far from it.
Dude, I don't know.
I'm
No, but a
joking,
lot of them,
I'm
no,
joking.
the elite athletes, of
Mhm.
course, they would do all that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We're
Okay.
not at all in that league,
No,
but I mean,
yeah.
they
not
would
at
be
all.
very serious about
Yeah,
it.
of course they
Yeah,
have
and
to.
they'd
like-
also be very serious about their core strength and all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
which we're very bad at.
Yeah, we need
Really?
to work on that.
Oh God,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
we're not good on that.
And is that something that you because you started, like, were you doing any sort of physical training before you
No,
guys turned
just,
43?
just walking. I used
Just
to
walking.
walk every single
Really?
day, and I'd
So
walk.
you look incredibly fit, like.
Well,
I know you
it's
train a lot
I
now,
think
but
it was
like,
probably the walking. You know,
Really, it just
we
kinda
walk
kept
very
you-
fast.
And
yeah.
we do cycling, a bit of cycling, but
Okay.
we weren't
Nothing
in
major
sports
though,
in
just
school now.
cycling into work and back.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it would
yeah,
be
yeah.
like proper cycling.
okay,
Yeah.
not
No
like
cities,
not
like
no
like
lycra and
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, nothing like
Mind
you
you,
did.
that.
yeah, right.
No, we're not like
You haven't seen me, have you? Please don't say you've seen me.
No, I haven't yet.
But
No,
I'll see
good,
you
yeah, yeah.
spotted down the road.
I'll try and keep going too fast.
So really, from the training point of view, there's 2 days that would be 2 training days, like
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Uh-huh.
Thursdays we could do something like Ks,
Uh-huh.
3x1 Ks,
Okay.
4x1 Ks, and we
Yeah.
try and have it within a certain time.
Okay, yeah.
So they have to be consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then you
yeah.
build in a long run during the week, and then
Okay.
maybe 2 easy.
Too easy. Yeah, okay,
2
okay.
runs
Yeah,
where you're
okay.
just having a chat.
And do you always run together?
No.
No.
Well, we.
Oh no!
If we
Well,
can,
if we can,
we
we
do.
do.
Okay.
But I work Monday to Wednesday, so
Yes.
I'd meet the girls on a Thursday,
Okay,
and then
okay.
on a Friday, and then I go out on Sunday
Okay.
myself.
But we'd
So
always
you
do the
okay.
races.
Okay,
Do
okay,
races,
yeah,
yeah.
good, great.
Yeah.
And so, do you find then your approach to diet, and because your lifestyles are quite
Very
different, it
similar.
sounds like. Well, no, similar
We're very
Okay.
similar with our diet.
with diet. Okay,
Very, very similar.
interesting. Even though you have different constraints on time and stuff like that in terms of
we'd eat
what you
sort
kind
of
of can do.
similar type
But you eat similar food.
yeah.
Okay.
No.
And what do you like when you started? You've obviously eaten healthily probably for most of your lives. Have
Yeah,
you? Were you?
we would have been very quite
Okay.
conscious, but
Yeah.
we're very conscious now.
Okay,
I
okay,
think
cool.
it's the more you train, the more
Yeah.
you know what works for
Yeah.
your body.
And you
Yeah.
know what you need to be putting in. Where before
And you
we'd
kick
eat
yourself
good
when you get it
food,
wrong,
but
yeah.
we wouldn't
Yeah.
know why we're eating. We're just eating because we know it's good.
Sure.
But now we actually, with
You can
search
feel
There's a
the
engines,
purpose.
difference.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
feel
it
the
makes a
difference.
difference.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. And what? So like, would you say the pre-race day? Like,
Yeah.
do you load with calories in advance?
a
Or,
huge
I mean,
amount,
it's
do a little
shorter
bit.
distances, so you
Yeah.
don't have to do so much of
Well,
that.
I'll give you an
I suppose, like-
example. Last Saturday I was doing a cross-country race,
Okay.
and I changed my breakfast
Okay.
just as an experiment
On the day of the
on
race.
the day of the race.
Okay.
Which was
Because I was getting,
we're only
which
trying
I see, I had been beginning to get stitches
Okay.
in the middle of a
All
race,
right,
and I
no
said,
way.
okay, maybe it's because of the porridge I was eating.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't
yeah.
eat porridge usually, but on
Yeah.
a race day I would.
You'd have. Okay.
So I said, I'm going to change that now, and I'm going to change to 2 corn cakes with peanut
Okay.
butter and jam, which is fine.
Okay.
But that was, say, I had that at maybe 8. I wasn't racing
Uh-huh.
until 11.
Uh-huh.
So I went out the first lap, flew
Mhm.
around, second lap I absolutely
Died.
left nothing.
And
Fell
that's,
apart.
that's
Yeah.
because there was nothing
And
in
I
the
think
system.
there was nothing, and I hadn't
Mm.
eaten much on the Friday
It's really
because
interesting.
I wasn't hungry on the Friday, and I should have just, even though I wasn't hungry,
Yeah.
I should have been grazing.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
and
yeah,
it is very
okay, okay.
important to
Yeah.
actually the few days before the race to
That's-
make sure that you have enough
You're
fuel
so
in.
Things are consistent.
Because
Not
we're
Yeah.
not-
bloating,
have
but
a
not
huge
overdoing it either.
Yeah.
Just making sure that
That's
you're
your eating
not.
Lots of something there. Yeah.
And I didn't do that on Friday.
Even though, and you'd have a natural endurance kind of profile as well, so it's funny. Yeah.
No, I totally. Well, I went out very fast.
Okay. And was
And I
it? Had
said-
you done a lot of cross country?
This was the first cross country, so I suppose
Okay.
obviously
Since
so
we're-
that's
okay.
going to be
Yeah.
A
hard
bit
anyway.
different. Yeah.
But I suppose I was thinking it's only 2 miles, it's only 2 miles. But then I
Mm.
said 2 miles is actually 2 miles when you're actually going at it.
Yeah.
You know that way.
Yeah.
And I blew
Yeah.
it.
You
basically.
okay? Wow. Wow.
That's fine.
And
I'm
did
going
you
back-
did you finish?
Oh, I finished
You
it.
finished
Oh,
the
I
course,
did
yeah, I
finish.
can't
God,
imagine you
yeah.
wouldn't
Oh
finish,
yeah, no,
okay.
I did finish, but
But you were just disappointed with
yeah,
your
I was sort of,
second
but
one.
I knew afterwards. Okay, I knew what I'd done. I
Okay,
said, that's,
okay.
I've learned a lesson now.
And so does that mean next time round you will do the porridge? You'll
I
go back
will
to
do
the
the
porridge.
porridge.
Okay.
I'll do
okay.
the porridge tomorrow. Now we're only just doing a part one, so it's
Okay,
fine. It's
okay,
not-
okay.
Well, I find a small bit of porridge.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
we
Honey
don't
maybe on
usually
top.
eat before
Okay,
we go
yeah.
out in a training session.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
if we go out on our normal runs during the week,
Right.
I'd have a small little bit of beetroot juice
Interesting.
with
Yeah.
a little bit of glutamine powder because I find that's quite good.
Perfect.
And then, but before a race, I would have a small bit of porridge with honey.
Mhm.
It's my race
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
thing.
Race feel. Yeah.
Not a huge amount, but a
Yeah.
small bit
Yeah.
with a bit of honey, and
Yeah.
I have that, and I find that works for me. And
Okay.
also then about an hour before the race, I take a beetroot shot
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
find that helps the oxygen go through.
That makes sense.
It-
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
helps
to,
It
Yeah.
stops
Well,
that breathlessness that happens when you start off like 100
It's
miles
meant to
an hour.
help with the oxygen.
Yeah, so
flow,
what it does is, for those of you who aren't familiar with beetroot juice, is that it's very rich in dietary nitrate,
Yes.
and the dietary nitrate stimulates the release or
The
supplies
nitrates
nitric
are running
oxide.
in your
So your
body, yeah.
your body's natural vasodilator.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's your body's kind of like assistant Viagra
Yeah.
system sort of
Yeah,
thing that
yeah.
goes on
It
inside
really
internally.
makes a difference.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
Absolutely.
what
The
I mean,
shots too.
I remember
When
the
you-
first
yeah.
time getting it. It wasn't in your shop. It was
Okay.
somewhere else. And your man, I said, "What?" It was way before you. And I said, "What do you What are these?" He said, "I'm telling you, they really work." I
Yeah.
said, "Okay." He said, "Well,
And it's
come back
natural
and
as
tell
well.
me." And
Yeah, yeah.
I said, "Well, great."
Impressed,
It,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
does.
it is good.
it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
such a simple thing, and it's weird because it's been around for so long that only now that I don't know. I mean, like, were people talking about beach shoes 20 years ago? I'd love to
I
know
don't
when
know.
people
I
were
don't
like,
know.
I don't know that they were, to be honest
And
with
if
you,
they
which
were,
is pretty
people
mad.
probably looked strange at themselves.
Well, exactly. And it was seen as an Irish veggie,
Yeah,
which probably wasn't that
exactly.
trendy or that sexy,
Yeah.
and now it's packaged
I
in a
know
little
it's
shop.
great.
And it's,
Now you can really
yeah.
feel it.
Okay,
So
cool,
okay,
yeah.
you still might feel a little bit breathless,
Yeah.
but it's not that kind of panic stations. Oh my god, I've
Right.
no air.
Yeah.
There's no air going through.
And the panic fuels the breathlessness as well,
Yeah,
which is
of
the
course.
real
So
danger,
it's
isn't it?
great,
Yeah.
So that's we would take that before ours,
Yeah.
and then before our training runs, I don't know about
I
you,
don't.
Sharon. I would just take the normal
Okay.
beetroot juice in the carton,
Yeah.
just a little bit. It's
Yeah.
not the concentrated shot, with a little bit of glutamine powder.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
good stuff.
And maybe
Okay.
chi ribose as well, a spoonful of that if I'm doing a hard training session.
So you started taking G-Ribos kind of recently, was
Yes.
that right?
Yeah, about a year,
Okay.
I'd say.
Okay,
Well,
alright,
we're
okay.
kind of alternating between that and the CoQ10.
Brilliant, okay,
And
okay.
I find that is great for just that bit of
Energy.
energy. I don't know,
Right,
where
okay,
it's a
yeah,
spark or
yeah.
something. you
Well, it makes
know.
sense. So Chi-Ribose, for those of you, again, who aren't aware of, Chi-Ribose is a product from a company called Viridian. It contains ribose, magnesium, malic acid,
Yeah.
and one other thing. Is it maybe carnitine or something like
It
that?
is.
it might be
It is
that,
carnitine.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, all of those are in some way involved in what's called the electron transport chain. So your body's unit of energy is
Your
ATP.
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
So
the muscles
in order
have
to
it.
fund ATP, you have this process that the electron transport chain that involves essentially, like if you imagine a guy with a bucket of water and a chain of people with buckets,
Yeah.
they have to pass that water into the next bucket, next
Yes.
bucket, and they're all pretty much involved in that. And ribose specifically is one of the ones in that chain that involves getting that energy into the cell and can't be replaced.
And even though you
a
have
lot.
ribose in your system already, because it's
Exactly.
sugar in
It's
your
simple
body,
sugar, yeah.
it probably just enhances that.
Big
doesn't
time,
it?
Would you
yeah,
recommend
it's
taking
frustrating.
that on a daily basis?
It depends. So I mean, for some people, if you don't have a need for it, no. And I'd say most people, anybody who's not suffering from say adrenal fatigue or people who aren't training or whatever. To be honest with you, I think most people these days who are living in city lives are either training
Yeah.
or suffering from adrenal fatigue or both,
Yeah.
or there's diabetes. There's so
Something
many
going on,
reasons
yeah,
that
yeah.
ribose can be useful.
Yeah.
There's very few people who can't benefit from it. But what I really like is the fact that it can kind of influence a body system, and the way you guys take it when you're alternating it, I think that's the real key to
Oh, yeah.
getting your diet right. That
Yeah.
that your body isn't kind of
Depending on it.
yeah. Well, I mean, like there's no physical dependence insofar as your body's not going to go, okay, I'm not going to synthesize my own ribose anymore. I'm
Yeah.
not going to break down
Yeah.
things into ribose. But it's just like opening up a pathway, saying here's a load of it. And then your body going woohoo, and then kind of like after a few weeks, kind of, and now you're having known your body goes okay, I have to learn from this,
Something,
and that's
yeah.
how training works. Essentially,
Yeah, of
you're
course it
training
is,
your
yeah.
metabolic
Yeah, yeah,
processes
yeah.
in the same way as you train your legs when you
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think most people find that that's really
Yeah.
successful. That
Yeah.
kind of idea of diversity and
Yeah.
seasonality. I think it kind of stems from our hunter gatherer diet, where we would never have anything consistently. We'd only ever have all the berries when they're in season,
Yeah.
and we had all the berries.
Yeah.
Eating.
And that was it.
Yeah.
You know, we ate as
Yeah.
much as we could, and then it was gone for 10 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
limbically our bodies are really like built to deal with that. That's
Yeah.
how kind of hormonally our bodies respond
Yeah.
and recover.
It
And
does work for us, you
Yeah.
know, it
It's
does
great.
work for us.
It's
So
great.
we kind of take that on those training days and before the
We should
race.
be quite
Cool.
regular about stuff like that.
yeah,
And
okay,
then
okay,
our
It's
yeah.
better now. I sometimes forget.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of remind her.
Okay.
And then after
Have
the
you taken
race,
your hands?
and after a very hard training session, I think it's very important to put the fuel back into your body. So we take some protein,
Okay,
which
protein
is
after
the
that.
Sun Warrior. We sometimes alternate it.
Okay, yeah.
And I put some magnesium powder into that
Good
and
stuff,
some
yeah.
glutamine as well, because I
Brilliant.
think that just
Just
get back
repair the
into your
muscles.
muscles.
It makes a
and
lot of
repair.
sense. Makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
And we'll find that really helps afterwards.
Oh yeah, big
Okay,
time.
and
Especially
within the half an hour.
hardly
Recovery
any
wise.
pains after.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow,
no, it's amazing.
good for
Where
you.
before
Half
we
an
wouldn't
hour,
have done
40
that.
minutes.
Okay.
And you'd be cramping around the place.
Yeah, believe
And then
it.
when we started, I said, God, this actually does work.
It makes a big difference.
Do you
That's
know
cool.
that way? You
Yeah.
just have to do
Um,
it. And
What else do you guys do for recovery then? Do you guys do anything else? Do you do any physical practice like
Well,
yoga or
myself
foam
glass of
rolling
wine,
or?
We
There
do
are some benefits.
stretches.
Yeah.
We do stretches.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
do stretches. Sharon is starting to do those.
Okay.
We'd always do a warm down.
Warm
After
down, okay,
that's
yeah, yeah,
initially,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
that's
I would
no.
try and stretch every day.
Okay, good for you.
That
yeah,
is
yeah.
just now. I have to make myself do it.
Yeah,
Get into the habit
it doesn't
of doing
come
it.
totally
I
naturally.
try and do it twice a day.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you don't have time, but
Mm.
it really helps. Because
Okay.
I used to have a bad hip problem,
Oh right.
and I got
Yeah.
great stretches off my osteopath, and he says if you
Interesting.
do these 3 times a day for 30 seconds, I'm telling you,
And she hasn't had
touch
difficulties.
wood. I'm afraid to say
Wow.
it.
And is it a hip flexor issue or?
It's the
Okay,
hip
yeah.
kind of just comes out. But anyway,
Okay.
touch wood,
Yeah,
it
you haven't
hasn't
had it,
actually.
yeah.
Now I've had
Yeah.
a back problem the last couple of weeks, but I'm getting over that. But
Okay.
it wasn't hip.
Okay.
And those exercises have stretches have really helped.
Cool.
So it does work.
Okay.
It
Yeah. yeah.
does
So it
work,
totally makes
doesn't
sense.
it? It needs
Yeah.
stretching. Now, I do think I need to take up something like Pilates.
I think
that
this
would
area,
work
dudes,
for-
and
That's
longevity
very, very
wise, that's the most
Yeah,
important
and that's
thing,
where I
isn't it?
feel I'm weak.
Okay, yeah.
my
Well,
whole
naturally,
core.
you're like me, you're ectomorphic or whatever that term is, where
Yeah.
we're all kind of long and lean,
Yeah.
and we have to kind of
Yeah.
hold a lot of these long limbs
Yeah,
in somehow,
exactly.
and this is kind
Yeah.
of most
The
of
wings is
this is what
strong
does
enough.
it.
The
Yeah,
wings
yeah,
actually,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
You know?
big time. And have you looked at what you're going to do for that, or have you kind of like made any
No,
sort
and we
of
were
plans?
always reading about things and talking to people and saying, God, maybe we should do that. But I think some basic strengthening exercises,
Body weight
simple ones.
resistance stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't have
Like
to be going
nothing
to the gym or
too-
anything. I
nothing
think
too
things that
heavy.
we can, well, it'll have to be for me something I can do at home because
Okay, yeah.
I don't have the time to go to the gym.
Cool,
And
yeah.
you don't either.
No.
Do you
And I don't like the gym.
Okay, yeah, join the gang. I've
Yeah,
kind
I
of got a bit
don't
sick of the
like-
gym as well. I know.
It just
Like,
doesn't do it for me.
yeah, the last 5 or 6 years I think I stopped going to the gym, and it's kind of been a revolution for me. I got
Really?
hold of a
Would you
thing
do
called
Pilates, though?
I will do the odd session of yoga
Okay,
in a
yeah.
place just to kind of remind myself, oh, these are things, because you fall into routine with stuff and you're
Yeah.
kind of like, oh Jesus, I need to have that broken up,
Yeah.
and I've forgotten that's a transition from that to that or
You need to do
whatever.
that,
You
yeah.
really do need to do that to kind of
Yeah.
remind yourself how sloppy you can get when you're
Yeah,
on your
of
own
course.
and you don't use mirrors. Like I don't like training in front of mirrors.
Yeah.
I know.
And I
yeah.
should, because actually
That's
you,
what a lot of
you
people
realise
form
your
is, yeah.
your
You
form
realise
is
you're
so
doing You're doing
important.
that
Yeah,
stretch wrong or
big
whatever,
time, big time.
damages
It's the only way you can tell
And
yourself.
also
yeah.
to do, which I have to learn to do the stretching slowly, and because
Yeah.
I'm very immediate,
Ah,
I
you
have
like
to
get
make
straight into
sure
it.
that I do it very slowly and do it
mm,
properly. Because if you're doing it fast, you're not going to do it properly.
For sure, yeah. You're
So
absolutely
that's where
right.
I have to work on
Yeah,
that. Sharon's
yeah.
very good about doing things
Discipline,
properly because
yeah.
she does it slower.
Yeah,
So that's
okay.
where I have to work on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Calm down. It's not a race.
Yeah.
Stretching. It's not a race.
Yeah.
Do you guys do planking at all? Plank?
I did do planks,
Okay.
and I had started doing the planks and the side planks, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm putting that down to where my back went out.
You need to be careful if
But
you're
I
not
think
doing
I
it
put
right.
too much
you know.
pressure on my back.
Okay,
Now, I was
okay, fair
emptying the
enough.
dishwasher when it happened, but I was doing a lot of planks before that.
Interesting.
And the Wednesday I had done a plank, and I felt something going, and then Friday the back went. So
Okay.
so I haven't gone back to planks for a while.
Right,
But I'm doing
interesting.
other back stretches, which I find are great, that are strengthening exercise, that you put your back into the ground, you know,
Okay, yeah.
kind of sucking your
You're
stomach
sucking your stomach in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that
and
Pilates
that's
thing,
hard,
yeah.
even though it doesn't look hard.
Yeah,
that is quite
it is.
tough.
It's activating all that muscle.
Yeah, but
yeah.
and I count up to 20, and I do that about 20 times.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Good
that's
for
I'm
you.
doing that now instead of the planks.
That's smart.
So I'm hoping
Yeah.
that's going to work.
It's interesting, yeah, because static stretching sometimes, particularly I think if you jump straight into it,
Yeah.
probably you're jumping into planks when you're quite
Oh,
cold or something like that. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
no, it was actually after the runs and
Oh,
all
really?
that. Yeah.
Oh, right.
But I would find it
Maybe
hard
Look
for
at
her
the
back
runs.
wasn't strong enough to take on the
To-
planks.
Yeah, I should have
that
probably
point.
doing these ones a
Maybe
lot
so,
more.
to strengthen it
Yeah,
first.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
start
yeah,
with
yeah,
planks.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was kind of saying no pain, no gain with the stretches, and that's not right.
Well,
no, always.
yeah, I know. It's sort of, it's a misnomer when you really embrace it, isn't it? Like
Yes.
it's great for people who aren't doing anything
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they need to start somewhere
Yeah,
and they need
yeah.
to feel that there's a barrier that they can
Yeah.
get past or whatever.
Right,
But then for those of us
this
who
was
are,
silly.
yeah, we get a bit silly about
Yeah,
it. That's the
calm
problem.
down on the pain.
Yes.
It's
It's
always hard.
recognising an injury pain and
Yeah, yeah,
recognising,
yeah.
oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think that's
and
what
knowing
was
the
going on
difference
there with
is
the planks.
sort of important, I think.
Yeah.
it is actually.
And that brings me on to kind of the last thing I want to talk to you guys about.
Yeah.
Have you found since you started training any difference in terms of like mental health?
Oh,
Have you-
absolutely,
okay, yeah,
absolutely. People
interesting.
say to me, why do you run? I say, well, apart from keeping fit, which is very important,
Yes.
Mental
it
element
keeps
is
me
huge.
sane.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah,
sane.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
think it's a great stress
It's a
buster,
happy
you know.
hormone.
Yeah,
as we
it
know,
is, yeah, the
and
endorphin
it really
releasing.
does work.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and also you're meeting people, so
Yeah.
that in itself is going to
That's fun. Yeah.
help anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Loving
yeah.
people.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're just getting out there
Racing.
doing different things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
opens up a whole new world as
It
well.
does really, doesn't it?
You know,
Yeah,
and I just
yeah.
think that's all very important for sociability and not that we had any difficulty with sociability.
No, I don't think you do.
We have lots of friends,
You
but
don't
I mean,
seem
for
like it.
people who maybe
Yeah.
aren't,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a
or
great
don't
place to
have-
start.
It's just join a running club,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
join doesn't have to be running, any type
Mm.
of club, and just get out there. And
Yeah.
the first time might be difficult, but
Yeah, like the
meet
first
loads-
time we went to a race now, we were saying, God, like who they'd be really kind of professional.
I
people out
know,
here."
you get so
And then we
intimidated
went
by
out
it, yeah.
and then
I
they
don't
don't
care.
like us, you
Yeah,
know, we're
yeah,
all starting
Yeah, there
off.
are
Yeah.
all the elites. Let them
Yeah,
at it.
yeah.
And then there's us, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's how we met an awful lot of
Yeah, we've
people
met
through
loads of
races.
people now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
great. It's
Nice.
great now.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice,
no,
nice.
it is good, and I recommend it.
Yeah.
I really
Lovely.
do recommend it.
Cool. And we are
And
going
of
to
course, you've been a great help now. When we come down, you help us with what
Yes.
to
bits
go
and
for.
bobs.
Yeah, no,
Bits
it's
and bobs.
brilliant.
But what's great is how
from you.
you guys embrace it and how you
Oh,
take it
yeah.
on and try it out and give us the feedback, good or bad. Yeah,
We're
okay.
not sure we say we go down to the hop
Tell
sack
me.
because we know we can actually get somebody here that will
Yeah,
actually
she knows
say
to
to us,
talk
okay,
about.
no,
Ah,
this
cool.
is what you need to do or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that was the plug we weren't
that's
asking for,
very-
but thank you.
No, but it is actually very helpful because
Yeah.
as I said, I've gone into other places
Mm.
and the well, I know you don't, but they wouldn't have that sort of one-to-one thing.
Well, for us it's really important, I think, and what makes our place interesting for us is people like you as well, vice versa. You know, having people who will try stuff out, who are, you know, engaged and active, and people who
and tell you how things are working for them,
and they'll give you the truth, no bullshit kind of response to how it works for them, or doesn't. And that's what you want.
No, it is good because you have to know if it works or not.
It's exactly it's not a fundamental thing. Cool. So we are going to, because I'm very keen to see how this goes, we're actually going to sponsor your 3andMe genome coding things. We'd mentioned this.
Really?
I really want to do
this. The thing that you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, I just think it'd be really interesting. I know you're getting your VO2 max thingies done sometime soon. At some stage. Cool. But we're going to do, because I'm going to do my genome coding thing as well. I've been dying to do it for ages.
And how does that work?
So essentially, we order a kit from a company called 23andMe in the States.
Okay.
They send us a blood test thingy. When we send it back to them, your genome, they send you back this very intangible kind of raw data with all these long numbers and snips and stuff. Exactly. So there's a bunch of different companies that interpret it. There's one in South Africa that I've been referred to who do a lot of the ones for kind of particularly in relation, now it's very broad, but particularly in relation to your lactate build-up, you know, your potential for, is it endurance or strength or speed, or those sorts of things. So it's literally really interesting to see, and particularly because you're twins as well, to have an idea.
You might find that it's completely opposite.
Do you know what's the weirdest thing? Like, I found one thing when I went to get blood tested, I only found out what my blood type was a few years ago, and my parents, my family, myself would always have assumed that I would be an O type, because you know the O types seem to be this old hunter-gatherer thing, meat, all this sort of stuff, and I was a bit of a carnivore when I was growing up. Now I'm not anymore. But it found out that I was an A negative, which is like the light and leafy green type, which is weird, really weird.
That's not blood type though, is it?
That is blood type.
Oh, because we're B negatives.
You're Bs.
Yeah, our blood type.
Blood type. Blood type. Exactly. You're Bs. Okay, so Bs are somewhere in between. Your Bs are more flexible, I think. The A's, Bs are going to be more flexitarian or whatever. I'm blood typing is, you know, it's not an exact science by any means, but it gives you an idea. But the weird thing was my sister, who'd always had an instinct towards veggies, was an O. And I, who had an instinct towards meat, turned out to be an A. So it's weird. It's just interesting to see those kind of things when they emerge, those little kind of differences between.
I have a brother who's an AB negative.
Oh wow!
And he
that's
was
really rare.
He made a bad motorbike accident trying to get blood from.
Whoa! Wowie!
Like, he's fine.
Okay. And does he give blood now at this stage?
He's in America now.
No, I don't think so.
Let's encourage him to do that.
Yeah, because there wouldn't be much of it.
That's the thing. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Maybe he does.
You know,
so that's interesting now about the
so 23andMe. So it'll be really interesting to see. So maybe we'll come back and do a follow-up podcast in a few months, maybe when you've done your VO2 max and we have the genome encoding thingy. We'll see where you're at. We'll turn you into total robots then.
Absolutely. I'll go for that, yes.
Thank you so much, Carol and Sharon.
Brilliant.
Thanks for coming in. Deadly. It was great. I had fun. Nice one. Thank you, guys.